Let me start this tutorial with a super simple statement, and it's this one. Mental preparation can improve motivation. In fact, let me write the motivation in some different color just to kind of highlight this point to you. It can improve motivation. And I don't think that's going to come as a surprise to anyone. If we prepare well psychologically, we're going to feel good, we're going to feel motivated, we're going to feel driven. And because of that, I want to talk to you about three methods of mental preparation. So let me sort of just sketch these in. The first one I want to talk to you about is like the overarching model. It's what we'd call visualization. I'm going to break it into two groups, okay? So with visualization, we're talking about the process of picturing a moment. All right, so we are picturing a moment. So it's an imagined scenario. We're visualizing something. Now that moment is probably going to be some kind of likely scenario. Okay, and I'll come back to what that scenario might be in a second. But we're visualizing, we're picturing something. And generally speaking, it's going to be picturing some kind of success. Okay, some kind of success. Or it could be that we're picturing some kind of good choices. All right, so that's what we mean by visualization. Now, I want to sort of take this a bit further, and I want to introduce you to the idea of imagery, which is a form of visualization, and I want to introduce you to the idea of mental rehearsal, which, guess what, is a form of visualization. Now, what I'm going to sort of say to you guys kind of quietly is that a lot of the description I'm going to use here are quite overlapping, so just be aware of that. If you want to ask why, have a chat with WJEC. Nevertheless, let's make a little chat. Let's go forward with this. Let's just go in. Let's do this, okay? What do we understand by the concept of imagery? Well, first of all, it is in the mind. We are playing in our mind pictures. Okay, so we could be seeing sort of still imagery in our mind, or almost like a replay or video. So we've got some kind of video playing in our mind, not an actual one, of a moment or a series of moments. All right, so that seems familiar from what we said about visualization. But this is really important. Imagery can be both performance-based. So imagery can be both performance-based, but it can also be relaxation based. And what I mean by that is you can imagine a bats person in cricket, for example, picturing themselves walking out to the middle, taking their guard. You know, they might even sort of feel the feeling of being relaxed and composed in their posture as they wait for the bowler to deliver the ball. All those things, you know, getting forward and striking the first delivery. They could do all of that, but they could also just kind of be relaxation-based imagery. And I sort of hate saying this really, but this notion of going to a happy place, picturing something relaxing, a place, an event, a memory that someone can spend some time and just try and relax and get out of the stress of performance. That's what we mean by imagery. Okay then, well, what is this mental rehearsal thing? Now, this is really important. I'm going to say here, we describe it as auto-playing. That's an interesting word, auto-playing, okay? So auto-playing the performance, okay? And notice the word performance over here with imagery and visualization. We're saying here it could be relaxation based, but with mental rehearsal it is performance based only. And what the performer will do is in their imagination they will focus on the following things. They will focus on details of performance. Okay, so it could even be the feeling of movement or the particular direction that the ball, I don't know why I'm using cricket, but the ball leaves the bat or the racket, those sorts of things. As I said before, it could be that they actually feel something. And we describe this, interesting word we describe this as kinesthesis. We can actually call it kinesthetic imagery because I know I'm under mental rehearsal, but remember, mental rehearsal is basically a form of imagery. It's a little bit confusing the way this has been structured, I accept. So we can picture something, and as we're picturing it, we can actually feel that thing. And you actually get what are called micro-contractions in the muscles that would be performing the movement. And we tend to focus on success. Now, the other one I'll just throw in here is sort of like stress avoidance. We can we can focus on our performance in mental rehearsal, okay, and we can focus on sort of like overcoming and dealing with stress in a pressurizing situation. Think about in whatever sport you do, taking the last action of the contest to make the decisive intervention, such as taking a penalty or scoring the goal or defending brilliantly in the last moment or just dipping at the line or reaching for the touch in swimming. You know, that sort of like managing that and picturing that. And this is where we've led to the whole time, guys, and this is where I want to sort of finish this. We've touched on these very overlapping concepts, but I just want to address this sort of more globally. This is what's interesting, is that evidence suggests that imagined reality, so let's put this down, imagined reality, so those things we might make up and picture in our mind, imagined reality and reality, actually what's really happening in the world, okay? The point I want to make here is that according to our subconscious brain, these two things are the same. Reflect on that for a second. I don't want to get into any sort of philosophy here, but to your subconscious, that bit of the mind we don't have so much control over, our subconscious cannot tell the difference between imagined reality and reality. Why is that important? Because, guys, if you use something like mental rehearsal and you picture success and you feel that, your subconscious, to your subconscious, it is literally real, okay? And that, of course, is going to help a lot when it comes being in those challenging, stressful sporting environments and your tendency to cope. So do not undervalue the potential impact of what I've just said here. Picturing and visualizing something is a very, 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 very powerful thing to do for someone who's trying to achieve something difficult. Cheers.